Shalom. Kohaloy Hawabashima Shai Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered among the heathen nations that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and the Akwaf that are listening and learning. This is your brother MALCHAAMAH from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And this is a video that's put up by Keto News and Daniela Cambone, who I've been watching her for quite some time now. And what makes this interesting is that she's interviewing Robert Kiyosaki. And I actually read Robert Kiyosaki's book 20 years ago called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So we're talking about a man who's a former Marine, Japanese American, I believe he may have some Samoan, Hawaiian, in him somewhere. But nevertheless, Vietnam veteran, Marine, became wealthy because of his business dealings. Was used as a spokesperson often in the Quick Star, the Amway organization, which I was a part of many years ago. And he was a diehard American, diehard constitutionalist, diehard capitalism, and now he's speaking out against it. Why? Because the nations are angry, man, and they drink of her wine. And for a man of his stature to say some of the things that he is about to say, this is something that Israel needs to hear. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to let this video play, and then I'll interject every now and then to bring out a scripture. But there's a lot of meat in here. It's not too many bones in this one. Even it's coming from, from Robert Kiyosaki. Is clearly a heathen, Daniela, I'm not sure about her. She might be Northern Kingdom, but it doesn't matter anyway. But you gotta hear it.
The Federal Reserve this week basically announced quantitative easing to infinity, but my next guest says this is not it.
Let me start that again. Quantitative easing to infinity. I had to turn the sound up. Someone's always playing with my damn sound. But here we go. Let's take it back. Start it again.
The Federal Reserve this week basically announced quantitative easing to infinity, but my next guest says
what that means is the dollar is going to be worthless, layman terms, as a result of that, on top of many other things.
This is not an example of capitalism. It's corrupt capitalism. He is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and his latest, Who Stole My Pension? How to Stop the Looting? Robert Kiyosaki.
Wow, who stole my pension? How to stop the looting? You can't. All right? This is a book by Robert Kiyosaki. All right? How can you stop the looting? Who Stole My Pension by Robert Kiyosaki and I guess in Edward Seaton. The Federal Reserve. Once the people wake up to the fact that they have been completely screwed over by the elites, there will be rioting in the streets. From what I'm told, people are looting right in front of the police and in front of the military, and nobody's even doing anything. So what you're probably going to get as a result of that is you're going to have Edomites, more than likely it will be them, that are going to start doing vigilante justice, which is going to start some purge type stuff. All right, because the people are getting sick and tired. But once they wake up to the fact that the Federal Reserve has been screwing you over so bad, because you have to understand, the Federal Reserve is not a part of the American government, yet it dictates policy and controls the people. It is a privately owned Jewish bank. Point blank, period. It and it violates the Constitution in every way whatsoever. Just so you know that.
Saki, what an honor to have you back on the show at such a pivotal time. Nice to see you.
No, I always gush love and admiration for you and Kitco because you guys have been, I don't know if it's telling the truth, but you're not lying to people. That's another way of saying it. You've been keeping people aware. So I thank you and Kitco, what you do.
We're trying to keep people woke here, Robert. That's right. And, it's thanks to having guests like you on. And I was excited to get your thoughts. I've been following all your Twitter action all week. You've been very vocal and very upset about what the Fed's been doing here. Let's talk about, what you've dubbed here as corrupt capitalism.
Well, I don't doubt the pandemic is real. I don't doubt that coronavirus is real. I don't doubt it's dangerous. I'm probably a target market for the coronavirus, simply because I've had pneumonia 3 times. I had malaria. I had a diving accident where I blew my lungs out, embolized. So I'm a candidate. So I'm just as concerned about the coronavirus, but I think it's a sleight of hand. It's called, in that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, Edward Griffin wrote about the Mandrake Mechanism.
The Creature from Jekyll Island. Basically, that's talking about the Federal Reserve, and it's a wicked monster that has been pillaging and raping and robbing your bank accounts and charging you to use. Basically, taxes are your taxes is money. Is basically you paying the usury debt on the fact that you can use their money. That's what taxes really goes to. That's why nothing ever gets fixed in America, because America had its own currency, which was tax free. So the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with America, is a privately owned bank. They give you money to use, but then they charge you taxes for using their money, and people don't understand that.
Where Mandrake's the magician. And so what the magician does, he has everybody so afraid of this thing called a virus, which I say is real, as they steal your money and they steal your wealth. And I've been, Chicken Little, as you know, for years and years and years, advising people not to save money, but to save gold and silver, what I call God's money. And I've been Chicken Little for so long.
Wait. He said God's money, which is gold and silver, and it's true. This is Genesis 24 and 35, and it reads, "And Yahweh have blessed my master greatly, and he has become great. He have given him flocks and herds." All right, so animals, land is wealth. Silver and gold, men servants and maid servants, and camels and asses. All right. So what real wealth is: land, ownership of animals, ownership of gold and silver, which America denies the average citizens from ever having not only one of those things, but almost all of those things. And the only people that are really allowed to have them are farmers, which are in league with the government. And the moment you violate their contract, well, look at what's been happening to the farmers lately.
I'm actually quite happy the virus is here, because people are saying, I should have listened to you. I said, yeah, you should have.
Well, we're gonna talk about gold in a second, and what you're doing to protect yourself here, Robert. I know last time you said you were buying silver. Aren't you happy you bought it back then? Because now people can't find it.
Isn't that part of the fake? My book was also Fake Money Before Who Stole My Pension. And before that was Conspiracy of the Rich, and before that was Prophecy.
So first he goes from rich dad, poor dad, and being one of the main representatives of Amway, the American way. The American way is capitalism. And as he says in this video, capitalism basically is socialism for the very rich, for the elites, because all the other people, the masses, work for them to keep them rich. Capitalism is the stealing and taking of other people's land, property, wealth, gold, and silver. All right? That's what it is. This is Sirach 10 and 8, and it reads, "Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries and riches got by deceit, The kingdom is translated from one people unto another. Right? Job 9:24 says, the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked, and this is how the wicked deals. All right? They translate other people's wealth, other people's money into their own.
Predicting the financial crash that came in 2016, but it didn't come till 2020, so I was off by 4 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, my concern is that there's the gold market's manipulated also. As you know, there's three markets, and then there's the futures, there's the paper, GLD and SLV, and then there's physical. So the price on the futures doesn't match the physical. Now, there isn't a wake-up call saying, well, who's messing with my gold and silver? So that's what I'm saying to people. It's all manipulated, so you've got to watch Kitco and listen to your
Well, we actually,
Yeah, it's all manipulated because what they do, they one of the ways to get gold and silver is also to take land. This is the book of Micah, point in 2, but I'm going to, chapter 2, the point is in verse 2, but I'm going to read verse 1 as well. And it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their bed. So it's wicked iniquity to devise a plan to where you charge people to and put usury against them, because the Bible speaks out against that. Okay? That is a wicked thing to do. To dupe people into to supporting you, and they're not even aware of it, making people a debt slave just when they're trying to support themselves and their families. All right, but it says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands." So they sit up behind a table and with the stroke of a pen pass policy that turns people into slaves and makes people debt slaves and make people poor and make themselves very wealthy as a result of it. And they covet fields and take them by violence. All right, because they'll make deals with you, and that's why they'll have their militaries posted up in all these foreign countries and places to make sure and enforce that their currency is being used. And if you try to go against them, they'll put their military on you and commandeer your land. And if you happen to have steel, ore, silver, gold, precious metals, oil, they'll covet it, and they'll take just a lot of trees. Wood, different woods and trees can be utilized. So it says, verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses they take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Broke that story this morning, because I'm looking at the futures, I'm looking at the spot. Right before noon, there was, a $45 discrepancy. I'm thinking, well, what's the real price here? And we saw what happened to silver last week. So on one hand, there's this huge silver shortage, but silver's having a good day today. But last week it got was plummeted. So, where's that disconnect happening?
Well, as I wrote about my book, fake, you have fake money, you have fake school teachers, they don't teach anything about money, and you have fake assets. The biggest fake is the stock market.
Wow, fake school teachers in a fake stock market. They don't teach the stock market. They don't teach you anything. As we in the, as the elder Taza Dakbar often quotes, the United States fool system, not school system. All right? And the stock market is completely rigged, and they play with numbers, because how can you have these great days on the stock market in the middle of retail apocalypse when you have thousands upon thousands and thousands of stores closing and people without jobs, but yet the markets are doing well? Something's wrong. All right? Because they play with other men's money. As a matter of fact, quick scripture. This is Sirach 21 and verse 8, and it reads, he that buildeth his house with other men's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial. And that's what Esau has done. And quite frankly, America has been built with other people's money, so America is collapsing. He's gathered stones for his own burial.
I mean, how can it go up 1,500 points in 5 seconds and then come down 1,000 points in 5 seconds?
Exactly.
If that's not manipulation, wake up and smell the coffee. But as you and I know, which Kitco reports on, the real problem is in the repo market and the commercial paper market. That's where the real theft is taking place right now. And the average person is watching the stock market. And my friends call up and they said, you know what? I should have bought some gold and silver. Well, it's kind of nice to be Chicken Little and be validated finally. But these guys now can't find any gold and silver.
Well, he's been screaming that for a long time. Gerald Celente as well, about buying gold and silver. As a matter of fact, any type of silver or gold, even jewelry, would be a good thing to get. They call that junk gold or junk silver. All right? It would be better to have that than to have nothing at all. All right? Because eventually it's gonna have some sort of value if you can get silver coins, and it's almost none. And it should be. Why? Because it's funny that these Edomites took away the silver and the gold standard, all right, and gave you pieces of paper. That goes to show you how stupid the average Edomite American is that's so-called highly educated, and the jakes and the heathens that are also so-called educated that follow them. That these people with these lied IQs would allow your physical gold and silver to be taken and to be replaced with money, to replace with paper money. And then as they collect up all the gold and silver, tell you that it has no value, but they collect it all up. They sure were collecting it. They weren't leaving it in place. And then they charge you ridiculous amounts of that paper money to get back that same said silver and gold, but yet it's not currency. How stupid. Damn, you Edomite Americans are really, really stupid with your lie IQs.
So I pray for them tonight.
You also tweeted, Robert, that the moves that we're seeing in gold today. At one point we were up $100. Just shows, unfortunately, lack of confidence in leaders, in political leaders.
Well, people are finally waking up that you cannot trust our own government.
This is Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value, because they're forgers of lies. Back in Sirach, this is Sirach 10 and verse 2, and it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So you got nothing but a bunch of crooks, thieves, all right, that run and control the Federal Reserve and your government, which allows the Federal Reserve to be in place. The American citizens should have rebelled and gotten rid of and jailed all the people that are involved with the Federal Reserve in that government long time ago. But they have not. Right? The Federal Reserve isn't federal at all, but yet they can put you in jail for violating federal law. How is it that a corporation, this just like if I call my channel the federal channel. I'm not federal at all. Just because that's in their name, they're not federal. They don't have power. These people with all these lie IQs that paid all this money to go to these Ivy League colleges and learn absolutely nothing, the stupidity of them. I hope you feel stupid, ashamed, because you've been bent over without Vaseline. You bunch of dumbasses. Now your asses are sore. The joke's on you.
I was a Marine pilot in Vietnam, and that's where I had my wake-up call in '72. I said, "¿Qué pasa? Why am I out here shooting innocent people? And who am I shooting them for? It's just like weapons of mass destruction. Where are they?" If people I agree with are like Gerald Celente, man, he says it better than I do, and Jim Rickards. By the way, Jim and I are writing a book together called The Ravens. It's How Do You See the Future? But these guys have been saying it for years. And Danielle, the good thing is, I think people, as they sit in quarantine, as they lose their jobs or homes or pensions, their businesses and all this, I think they're waking up that they're...
Yeah, one of the things that they're doing is they're searching the internet and they're actually starting to look at videos and information now. The people are getting antsy and the insurrections are coming. That's why they've already put, the armies and things of that nature in place on the streets, militarizing the police departments, so that these feds, these Federal Reserve assholes, can protect their assets.
being screwed. They've been screwed. I think that's the message, Danielle, is the American public is finally waking up. It's not capitalism, it's corrupt capitalism or criminal capitalism. And all
Capitalism is corrupt in itself. Like I said, he says it in this video. But hey, look, capitalism is nothing but socialism for the elite. Point blank, period. That's what it is. And you dummies with your lie IQs need to figure that out.
of these stimulus packages, as Rickard says, they're not stimulus. They're just destroying everybody's economy. It's socialism for the rich as the poor and middle class lose their jobs and businesses.
Wow.
And their savings.
Hold on. It's hard to sit idly by. This is Isaiah 10:1, and it reads, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." So they write all these wicked, cruel laws, all right, and they're screwing the people over, right, with this fake virus that they've put out, all right. Now there's another one. The Lord said he was going to send these plagues, though, so it's all really coming from Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai in the first place? And that's another thing. When these people realize that that this is something that was put out by E, that they did this on purpose just so they could crash the system. All right? Let me take that back a little bit, and then we're going to read another scripture and let it finish out.
Packages, as Rickard says, they're not stimulus. They're just destroying everybody's economy. It's socialism for the rich as the poor and middle class lose their jobs and businesses and their savings and their pensions. This is criminal, what's happening. Now, that's what...
Wow. So let me get this scripture and we'll close it. This is Zechariah 5 and 3. And it reads, "Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over..." Actually, let's start at verse 2, because the chariots are going to come, man. The Lord is coming back, and believe me, he is watching him. He's nervous. But it reads, "And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll, the length thereof 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off on that side as according to it. And I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, which is Esau Edom." It said, hey, if a man stealeth a man and he be found in his hands, he shall surely be put to death. We're still here in America. We're still in their hands. "And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof." So the Lord is going to come and annihilate Edom and Babylon. Call Halal Yahweh Bashim Abashai Bashim Rakak Wadash Wa Abad Babal. Shalom.